Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. I thought I'd go back in time today. Look at that. Still fits. Still fits. Name the year that this Bumblebee top was released by Celtic. Still in brand new condition. I've only worn it about half dozen times. Out, that is. I'll go back onto the It's place of safety. Anyway, good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. And it's Celtic. Martin O'Neill and Celtic and Michael Nicholson have managed to get a player in the door as a striker that we spoke about last night. And he'll be obviously, I think he's in London this morning doing a medical, and then he'll be up to Celtic Park, and then that'll be straight to Lennoxtown for pictures and such like. Or will it be Celtic Park? Probably Lennoxtown, it's the way that Celtic seem to go. But anyway, Celtic are still in the market for a defender as well as another striker. But there's also the niggling little story that will not go away. And that's the Andy Robertson story. Andy Robertson's obviously out of contract at Liverpool, and he's available freedom of contract, a bit like Kieran Tierney. Now, would Andy Robertson come back to Celtic? I mean, would you come back to Celtic all these years later when a certain Chris McCart, Andy Robertson's obviously, Chris McCart at Celtic said that Andy Robertson was too small and they released him. Now, at 32 years of age, is it worth bringing him back at 32? Having been released by the academy all those years ago, back in 2009. I mean, you're basically bringing him back. I mean, the career, he went to Queen's Park, Dundee United, Hull City, then Liverpool. So, I mean, he had a little bit of a career before, but he's racked up 321 appearances his time at Liverpool with 60 assists. There we go. And a Champions League trophy. Who was the last Champions League winner to come to Celtic? Tell me that one in the comments as well. So there's two questions for you this morning. What year did this top get released by Celtic? Still in fantastic condition. And who was the last Champions League winner to come to Celtic to play? And he was Scottish also. That gives it away. That gives it away. So tell me that in the comment section and we'll see who comes up with it first. But anyway, is Andy Robertson the person to come back, and would he be any use coming back to Celtic? Paul Lambert, there we go. We got the first one. You got the second one right. Who got that first? There we go. He gets it first. Mr. Lambert. And then there's loads of Paul Lambert, Paul Lambert, Paul Lambert. Virgil. No, it was Paul Lambert. Paul Lambert. But what year? Somebody's not mentioned this. What year was this top released by Celtic? Give you a clue. Tommy Burns. Tommy Burns was the manager at Celtic. Tommy Burns. 1927, Paul Lambert. 1927. Yeah, everyone's got the Lambo one right. But come on, what year did this top come out? Andy Robertson coming to us means more chances of goals too. What, in his wheelchair? 94. I'd need to double check myself because I'm not exactly sure. I think it was 94. Oh no, it wasn't 94. Wow, it wasn't 1994. It wasn't 97 either. 86. Somebody's got it. 1996. That is it. It was the 1996-97 season. So it was 96. Who got 96 first? Who got 96 first? Oh, Craig just gets it first. 96, 97. I reckon he went on to good old Google, though, like I had to do, because I never knew. I couldn't remember. 95, I was just a guess. That was 1996, 97 season. And you could still buy it. Celtic have re-released it onto the Celtic website. I didn't know that. And you can still get it in every size. 1996, 97 retro away jersey. Pierre Van Hooijdonk wore this. George Cadet wore it. Why have you started wearing merch again? Because I felt like it. And this is an old top for 1996. Goes way past everything with the current board. I've had this top since it came out, mate. So and anyway, I was unlucky. I was one out. So yeah. So don't say where are you wearing merch for. It's from the 1990s, mate. I've had it since the 1990s. I could go and bring through the top that I've had nearly bought every year since the early 90s, late 80s, if you want, just to bring them all through. But anyway, we move on. Not another nonsense campaign. Celtic, a defender. We have been linked with Andy Robertson. Let's get back to it because it was around 2009 that Andy Robertson was released by Celtic. There's a lot of chat about Celtic trying to get him at the end of the season, a bit like they did with Kieran Tierney. But let's face it, even though Kieran Tierney has came back, he's not been the player that he was. He's not the player that he was in his first time at Celtic. So, is bringing Andy Robertson back at 32, 4 years older than Kieran Tierney, is that a good thing for Celtic? I mean, you could understand why you're bringing him back. He gives you that Scottish contingent. You may get 2 seasons out of him. But is that the way that the next manager would want to go? I'm not too sure. But anyway, let's get on to Celtic transfers because Martin O'Neill still wants another striker in the door. Will he go for Mohamed Bamba? Or will he go for David Fofana? Or will he just say, bugger it, and we're going to make Motherwell an offer for their player? But then we still need a defender because there's still the Stephen Welsh question. There is still the Stephen Welsh question. Stephen Welsh was brought back with the fact that we were short of players. We allowed Jemai Simpson-Pusey to leave Celtic, who incidentally has left Celtic, and I think he started 3 games for his club. Weirdly enough, strangely enough, but although Celtic managers and backroom staff did not fancy the player, it's a complete weird one, that one. But anyway, we do need another defender to come in and to allow Stephen Welsh to leave this window, because I'm sure Stephen Welsh doesn't really want to hang about at Celtic until the end of the season. If Robertson took a wage cut to accept 20 grand a week, I'd have him, but the wage bill needs cut majorly, and then the deadwood removed. And I keep hearing this word deadwood removed. There is no room for a cull at Celtic. There's a lot of the deadwood was got rid of last summer. If we start getting rid of players now, you're talking a rebuild. We need to take a reality check. You know, what deadwood would you like out of the club? Because you start getting those. We're already talking about the fact that we need 5 players in this window still. That's 2 that we've got in this window. I said before the window kicked off, I thought we would need 7 just to make us better and get the squad in a place where you could have real squad rotation. You don't have real squad rotation right now. Shin Yamada's not the answer. Johnny Kenny's up there fighting no one. You know, there's nobody putting pressure on Johnny Kenny to make Johnny Kenny a better player. No competition at all. Kelechi Iheanacho, people will say, well, that was your competition. He's been out all season. He will start tomorrow night. I think that Martin O'Neill will start Kelechi Iheanacho up front. Whether it's the wise move or not, whether he's 100% fit. We know that the last time that happened, Kelechi Iheanacho came back and lasted 5 minutes on the pitch. Pulled up with injury again. I don't know how fit he is. I don't know how he's been doing in training, but I do suspect that Martin O'Neill will go with the experience that we have. 20 grand a week when Kieran Tierney came back for 40 odd grand a week. I don't think that Andy Robertson would go from 200 grand a week. He could go and take his pick of clubs in England for over 100 grand a week. Andy Robertson is Celtic nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Andy Robertson will remember the fact that, look, yeah, Kieran Tierney came back because of the love for Brendan Rodgers and he's, want to finish his career at Celtic. But Andy Robertson never played a single game for Celtic. He was released as a youngster, deemed to be not tall enough. So if I was Andy Robertson and they turned around and said, we'll give you 20 grand a week, I would tell you to ram it. Fair enough, he's made some good money over the last couple of years, but he's Celtic nothing. This nonsense that players should bend over backwards to come and play for Celtic in modern football, we all know it's nonsense, because how many players have we lost from the academy that, fair enough, they've not went on to achieve anything, but they don't want to play for us. So expecting someone to take a 180 grand pay cut to come to Celtic is just unrealistic. The three amigos. Yep, the three amigos. But anyway, talking about a defender, Celtic need to get a defender in. Will Celtic make a move this week? Celtic were looking at the Eintracht Frankfurt defender, Armenda. He was on the agenda. Armenda on the agenda. I like that one. The Swiss international is trying to get a place for his country's World Cup squad. The 6'6" defender wants to explore loan options, it's been said. Is that the kind of guy that we want into the club? I think it could be. 6'6" defender. We need to start putting height at the team. That's one thing that we are all agreed on. We're all agreed the fact that Robertson is a multi-millionaire. Some of these guys are so greedy. Mate, your career's over. Wait a minute here. No. I'm not buying that one, chill pill. Your career's over and done with at 36. Most of us work. I mean, they could go into retirement now. Your career's done and dusted in your 30s. You've got to come out with something new. There's not many people change completely the direction of their career in their lifetime. The majority of people stick in the same mundane job. So I'm not buying this that top earners are so greedy. Not when your career's over. Listen, we've had players that have came through and played football, and it used to be the fact that when players retired, they got their testimonial as a thank you for staying at the club. They used that money to go and buy a boozer, because what else am I going to do? Having digs at players that want to maintain their income as high as possible. I mean, that's like, you leave your job and go and take a pay cut because you've been paid too much. Fuck off. Seriously? I know it's before 10 o'clock in the morning, but who cares? I'm not buying that. Football players, when they're at the highest level, they should be wanting to stay at the highest level as long as they can. And if people think that it's too much because it's Celtic need to get into the land of reality. Hence the wage bill's 75 grand. The boy wants to wear the hoops, both like Keane's. The European defender wants to come to us, I've heard. Hasn't played in a year, but come to the mighty. Well, he played in the 3-3 draw on Friday night, the Swiss international. If we're talking about the same guy, he did play in the 3-3 draw on Friday night to get some game time. Maybe that was just to allow other teams to see exactly. But as these guys get job in coaching, media, etc., not them all, mate. Not them all. I know a guy that came through the system at Hearts, and he's not even in football. You're talking about the top end. You're talking about the top earners. Do you know, there's a lot of people that leave football that completely leave the industry. the majority of football players, there's only a small percentage that go on to be coaches, that go on to be managers, that go into TV, that go into media. It's a very small percentage, very small, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of players that leave the game forever. Leave the game forever. So there we go. Paul McStay, do you know, left it in 100 grand a week, having a laugh. They all have good accountants and financial advisors. You've still got to pay your tax, mate. You can't hide from the tax, man. Anyway, we digress because will Celtic get the 6 foot? What is he? 6'6"? That'd be a cracking guy to get in. It's been a while since we've had some real big height in the team. Getting in the striker has been a good start. If we get in a big defender, that'll be a good start because let's face it, when it comes to corners and such like, Celtic have been lacking in height. And almost every team in the SPFL, this new striker looks like Iniacho 2.0. He's nowhere, mate. He's nowhere near the Chris. Come on. He's nowhere near. He's about 10 years younger than Kelechi Iniacho. He is about 10 years younger than Kelechi Iniacho, isn't it? He's what? Iniacho's in his 30s, isn't he? Iniacho's 32. There's even more reason not to bring Andy bloody Robertson to Celtic. Look at what we've had this year in a 32-year-old that's came to Celtic. The old club hid from the taxman and died. Yes, football players can't do that though. When you look at Iniesta, Kells is the manager, the XXX manager used to call him. Kells, great lad. Been injured most of the time he's here. Who says that that's not going to happen to Andy Robertson? Are we really going to bring in Andy Robertson? And Celtic will put it as, oh, it's one of the academy. No, he was the, you can't class him as an academy player. You punted him and told him he was no good. Jesus. I think we should just put it to bed and hope to God. Di Canio. It's more cadet that I wear this for. That I grabbed it out. Because when I opened the cupboard this morning, the missus was like, you're going to wear your old Celtic tops? And I was like, don't know what, I'm going to pull out a class. I could have brought out an old Umbro one. In fact, that's what I'll do tomorrow. Or tonight. I'll wear an Umbro top tonight. One of the long-sleeved Umbro ones. That's even older than this one. But anyway, will Celtic get in the big defender? The thing is, there's still loads of names that's been put out there. I think one player that we should seriously be looking at, and especially for goals, is the Motherwell player. Is there a deal to be done there? Now the Motherwell player deal won't happen until we get a defender in. So there's all kind of dominoes that have to fall into place first. Celtic will have to get in. The reason that I'm thinking this is Celtic get in a defender of a decent calibre that'll go into the first team, that'll push Liam Scales onto the bench to play alongside Trusty. That means that the need for Stephen Welsh to be at Celtic isn't there. He can then be used as a pawn in the deal with Motherwell. A little bit of a softener. Don't know. We'll give you Stephen Welsh plus a bundle of cash if you give us your striker. The fact that he's scored 15 goals this season, Celtic need to go on. Pierre, there's only one Pierre. There's only one Pierre. There's only one Pierre. Pierre. Oh, that's what I loved singing about. That's what I loved this top. That and Cadet and Van Hooydonk were just amazing, man. I know people will talk about DiCanio, but he was a bit crazy. But anyway, will Celtic make a move for the Motherwell player? Teammate Stephen O'Donnell says that on Tuesday that he trained. Well, of course he's going to train. Thankfully, with our players, some folk are around saying he's under contract. He's a really good position for Motherwell. Listen, he's only in contract. But people said there'll be a hefty fee. He's out of contract at the end of the season. You know, the club have the option Kells is only 29. There's no way it's Kelechi Iheanacho only 29. Sick Note's only 29. Away. I'm not checking that now, mate, but I'll take your word for it, mate. I'll take your word for it that Iheanacho's 29. He should be at his prime. There's not many players at 29 get released by Spanish teams because they're just wash, as they say. But anyway, yeah, so get back to it. Stephen Welsh, part of the make weight deal, paperweight as you like, weigh down the cash, put Stephen Welsh on top of the cash and ship him off to Motherwell. He's 29, but he runs like he's 40. Well, that's what I was thinking. Is he really 29? Jesus, he turned 29 in October. I was fitter and faster than him when I was 39. Yeah, shit, you're not. I'd say I was fitter at 39 than Kelechi Iheanacho is at 29. Anyway, who was the Dutch player called Sick Note at Celtic? Or was that just at any club? But anyway, getting back to it, it is one of those days we are just going to be sitting around waiting today on Celtic going, deal done, we've signed a striker. And until that happens, there's going to be a bit of a lull. Celtic linked with 30 million valued Girona winger. Away. Celtic are not getting linked with anybody at 30 million. I mean, I know that we're still after a winger because Dyson Maeda will want away. There's no coming to Celtic. Honestly. Yeah, you got me with that one again, Quinny. Right, anyway, that has me done and dusted for this morning. I will be back on later this afternoon as Celtic make it known that Tam's in the door. Thomas. He's in the door. And he's pictured. Some people will not believe it. Some people will not believe that that he is signed until he's paraded at Celtic Park. And quite rightly so, because let's face it, nobody would take Bally. I'd go to Bally. But if you're talking about Mikel Ange, we'll wait and see. Let's jump into the comments before we do finish off this morning. Alex Negrin too, but the well guy by defenders that can upset defences. Ninja's going to make space for himself. Yep. I think we need a new few players. Yeah, I still think that we need 5 players. I still think that we need a winger, another striker, a holding midfielder, and a defender, and someone else to play at the back. Balak Wisher's time's up. Last 6-3 striker we had was Adam Ida, and we didn't like him. Thank you for that one. That's very enlightening this morning. Talk about positivity when we get someone in that's got a bit of height about them. How far down the English leagues would we need to go to get a player? League One. Why would you want to go to the English leagues? Serious question. I don't think that there's value for money in the English leagues. I think that there's better value for money. I mean, this guy that's coming in is on 15 grand a week. This guy here, he's on 15 grand a week. Anyone that's playing down in England in the League One, there's not many players on 15 grand a week's a rubbish player down there. So I don't think that there is value for money in the English market. And plus, there's no Scottish in the English markets that we're going to get from down there. What you need to be looking at is we honestly need to be looking at getting some Scottish talent into the team. Boys that have got a chance of becoming. Never mind looking at a player that's about to leave Liverpool. Do you know, let's get the next Andy Robertson. We need to start looking at other clubs, and we need to start doing what clubs do to Celtic, poaching the youngsters away. giving them enticing deals to, we can outspend anyone. And this is the issue that Celtic have got. They do not see the value in paying over the odds for younger players, because the younger players do not have a pathway into Celtic Football Club. They do not see a pathway into the first team. Now, Sean Maloney, by all accounts, when he came in to do his pathway manager stuff, he was one that set up deals with Inverness. He went up to Inverness and sorted out deals with Inverness. He was going around the country and going to clubs and saying, we'll give you players, we'll put you players here. If we've got a player coming through, do you fancy this player? Going and speaking to the parents of the clubs. Right now, they've got nobody that's doing that. So over the next 4 months, the youngsters at Celtic are getting neglected again because there's nobody in the pathway manager job. There's nobody on the verge of stepping up into Celtic anyway, but there's a lot needs sorted out at Celtic. And all that we're doing right now with Martin O'Neill is turning back the years and putting on a sticking plaster to make us feel better. And on that note, that's what I'll finish with this morning. Putting on a little bit of something good to make you feel better and bring back the smiles. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.